Alright, welcome back everyone. 皆さん、おかえりなさい。今日は323日目です。It is day 323. Day 3? We're in day 3 of the cycle. And it kind of looks like we have a triple day. So this would be roughly like 4 units of reviews. We got 3 stacked on top of our 77. And the time that we're doing this, that would mean that tomorrow... oh, actually, tomorrow we start early. We would have 0 lessons. So we're probably going to do a flip schedule where we start with Hanzahiro first, then go to WaniKani. We got to finish the 77 very soon, though. Otherwise, tomorrow would be a 0 day. Which we could work on burnout. We'll find out when today's session is over. Let's get right into it. It's one of my largest grievances, existing and pre-existing grievances about scheduling. This constantly looks like shiki, but it's not shiki. Dang it. We have there. Oh, what? Oh, wait. Yes. Okay. Oh. No. Oh there, Danny. Hello. Wait, is it the weekend? It's Monday. You're at work right now. I'm doing pretty well today. How are you? Yeah, you at work right now? I see. You're off Thursdays and Fridays, okay. I'll make a mental note of that. Yeah. No, I know you so well. I do. Oh, we try. That's how it works. You gotta collect information, you know? The more you know, the more you have to work with. Did you manage to finish up your find a good place to send your card out? Or do you still have like one more stage somewhere to work on? It's getting close. Almost done? Very nice, very nice. Should be done tonight. Ganpatte. Alright. Good luck. How are you? Are you sending the card personally? How are you going about? How do you usually interact with this person?
幼稚園
先ほど。What? Oh no, wait, 先ほど。
先ほど。
先ほど。Do the different colors pink, purple mean something? Purple means vocabulary. Pink means the character themselves. Hello there, Bree. You'll probably send in it framed in glass, signed. Very nice. Very nice. That's a beautiful gesture. Oh, you're going to visit them when you give it to them. Very kind of you. Sakihodo. What are you up to, Bree? I imagine you're getting ready soonish for Thanksgiving. Sakihodo. Going at blank. I'm gonna come back to that.
完了的。
完了的。
照らす。間違い。
Not really time to get ready for it, just show up on time and be hungry. Sole? Oh, for Thanksgiving? Not really into turkey like that? I see. I'm not sure what that is. Hold up. Oh. You know, I didn't ever connect that soup with a name. I see. That looks very comforting. Adding to the reading deck is going well. Been much easier memorizing one at a time, and you've learned many during the transfer process too. Very nice, very nice. After maybe like a week or two, you can, you know, see how well they combine back together, right? You can do them together at some time if you want it. You can even choose when you're using your reading deck, you can choose to like, oh, well, I know the meaning anyways, so your thoughts with the meaning can come after the reading. And then vice versa on the meaning deck. When you're on the meaning deck, over time, you're like, well, I know the read anyways, so I'll do meaning, then read. And the idea, like the whole idea behind swapping up is Sometimes if you don't want to remember things, like you don't want to keep on investing a lot more time into collecting information, the limited information you have can find different ways. So if you know A and you go to B and you go to C, you can also go to C to B to A. This is two different ways. These are two different methods, right? It's kind of like going from English to Japanese and then Japanese to English. It will help you reinforce, like, you don't need to worry about order. The thing that I noticed when we first talked about how you're thinking about things is sometimes you're not quite sure which way you prefer. So you're kind of going back and forth. And that's pretty good. And it takes a really long time because you're doing both at the same time. However, it's found that most people like focusing on one way. However, if they stick to that one way, that means there's only one way to fail. Like, you'll be more likely to fail. So if you want to reinforce, so now we're not talking about like learning for the first time. This is faster if you're learning one way. But when you're practicing, you can switch up the order. So with every increasing variable, like if there's an additional step, you have 4 new ways to look at it. Like, it multiplies. So if you only have 2 steps, right? If you only have 2 steps, then the idea is you can do it both ways. This will give you 2 ways to do the quote-unquote same thing, but different. So that you don't get tired. It doesn't feel like, and hear me out, Mika. You don't have to always complete one and always complete the other. Because remember that you're doing it twice. You're making associations twice. So you're doubling on each other while you're thinking of them separately. Technically when you're doing this, you're tying it to C. So you're actually reinforcing multiple things at once. And in the future, you don't have to do them separately. You can do them all together at the same time. But the thing is, if you notice that you're having trouble on a very specific thing, sometimes separating them and allowing you to have the opportunity. The goal was to figure out what is it about the reads so that you don't have to constantly get it confounded. So this is the experiment, right? The experiment is you're removing all the things that work in order to focus on the thing that doesn't work. It can provide clarity. When you're doing like 10 different things, it will be very difficult to know what is not working and what is working, right? Hopefully you find something. You could enjoy swap the order on Aki as in which comes on the front. Oh yeah, that's true. You can also do that too. So you can save time figuring out other ways to achieve that. To me, that's what I do. And I do it enough to get a consistency. So when you're saying accuracy, right? Say you gave yourself an arbitrary accuracy of 90% per day. After like some conditions, whatever your conditions are. So you use that. And what you do, in my opinion, what I would do is I would figure out as many different ways that I need to do in order to reach this amount. And that's it. And this amount, it has conditions. So the amount of time, the amount of, prep work. With all these conditions, you can use a metric that you aim for, like a passing grade or something like that. And you create as many redundancies. They're redundancies for retention. They're not redundant because they are different. These are different. So if you add like a different method, that's another redundancy. Like if you do graded readers for the same exact vocabulary, you watch vlogs and you look and practice for the same exact vocabulary and stuff, those are different ways to create redundancy. The way you're doing it with the Anki deck is more controllable. It's a lot more isolated, and that allows you to figure out what's going on, right? It's easier to figure out things when it's not too complicated. That's why, in my opinion, sometimes vlogs, graded readers, or things very, very high, if you don't have the awareness already, you don't know where the error is coming from. So immersion, for example, in my opinion, like early immersion with my parents when I'm learning Fujonese, whatever habits I have, it's difficult to know where it's coming from because I learned, quote unquote, intuitively here. So the nice thing about intuition is you don't have to do any of this stuff. So if it works, it works, right? Like if you learn how to throw a ball by throwing a ball and you saw someone and you just mirrored them and throw a ball, that's a really complicated process. So if it works, you never have to, you don't have to look at it. It won't be a problem. It doesn't make you upset. It doesn't consistently put you off. And then, you know what happens when someone becomes really, really good at baseball or really, really good at hitting a racket? In order to get the other percentage of improvement, they have enough repetition and consistency, even in a complex situation, to figure out the smaller details. So that's when you become, you know, a pro athlete, and then a pro athlete then start adding knowledge and data and analytics on top. That's like the talent approach, but obviously you can analyze things before you become someone who's intuitive. So for language, that's the approach that I'm taking. Others are taking the other way around. They use immersion and then they go seek answers to the things they find. I take a method and I learn the foundations and then go and immerse in the thing. So you can do either if you want. You can combine them. You can alternate them between days. Like on Mondays, you want to do the reverse. You do your immersion first and then your things. Those things get more complicated. So keeping it simple helps you solve things if you want to think about solving them. If you want to brute force them, then do more. Right? So the thing is, the thing that I would probably focus on right now is you have to be able to do both. If you're gonna test both ways, you need the mindset to do so. Because and the common denominator in order to make both of these successful is consistency. Neither of these can get by without consistency. They both require consistency. So there's oftentimes planning is an analytical approach. So if you constantly think of planning and you're constantly using logic and stuff, then you take an analytical approach. If you're a viber and you're trying to work on experience, you still need consistency. But now you need to vibe whatever that is that keep you consistent. These are two different things, right? Because vibing requires an innate intrinsic motivation. It's coming from somewhere. And oftentimes it's reward centered. So when you vibe, you're using motivation, intrinsic interest, reward centers, and that's what you vibe to keep reinforcing consistency, because you're not planning things. When you're going in an analytical approach, you're going to plan things. You have to commit to them with intent. Vibing doesn't require intent. Interest creates that intent. So the underlying thing is, even if you're going to test both, you have to be aware of what makes both consistent in order to actually have them work out. So ultimately, this is pretty much what at least I've been trying to focus on. Like, we're trying to lay the foundations of consistency, regardless if you have talent, which allows you to more adequately vibe, or you're a hard worker. Both of these require that you can be consistent in them. The consistency to achieve both of these are different. Like, how do you be consistent when you're vibing is different, is significantly, I'm not saying it's entirely different, it's significantly different to make both of these work. A hard worker, planning, commitments, intention, that type of awareness can make a hard worker a hard worker. You can make yourself a hard worker through discipline and due diligence. Talent, when you're vibing, you're not really focused on structure, but you're focusing on motivation, where your feelings and stuff take you. So if your feelings are poor, right? If you're constantly demotivated, feeling terrible, and saying you don't have the vibe skills, then it is usually balanced out with all the things that make hard work possible. So with both of these, then you can test both and do whatever you want. I think all of this stuff comes before you test the method. So juggling a lot here. The foundations is to show up, right? You have to show up. And I'm going to take a page from what you shared. If you think that you can't keep up a Duolingo, if you're disinterested in keeping up a Duolingo streak, imagine everything else. The success of the Duolingo streak is it requires less than 30 seconds to maintain a streak. So this is viable and plannable. That's why people keep using Duolingo. Now, if someone says, oh, after 100 days, I can't bother to spend 30 seconds to do a lesson to get a streak, then you could see a lot in how are you going to maintain a vibe, let alone a plan. Both of these require that you do more than this. Right? That's kind of one of those things. Like, I don't need engagement to stay consistent. Duolingo provides engagement in order to help people understand how to stay consistent. The thing is, they can choose not to learn what is it that makes Duolingo consistent for them. And one of the things that lots of times when people talk about language learning techniques, like methods and whatnot, the first thing they assume is that you already have that. It's a check for motivation. It's a check for confidence. It's a check for self-awareness. Most of these methods already assume that when you choose to go into language learning, all of these are already fulfilled. Except for things that gamify. And gamification things, like apps, like WaniKani, Wushu, with their numbers and levels and SRS, they're assuming you don't have this yet. And how are they going about it? they're going about it by a planning stage. So they're using analytics to provide all of this. And if you're not motivated by the analytics and the numbers and stuff, then you don't have this yet. So you can't engage consistently in language learning until you're assumed to have these things intact. Like, I can use any of the tools because I know that I can vibe along and do analytics. So if I had to use a immersion tool, I know that regardless if the immersion tool is bad, good, useful, or not, I can stay consistent enough to make it work. Unfortunately to me, largely due to the nature of apps and the internet and stuff, this stuff requires gamification because no one wants to work on their source of motivation, confidence, and self-awareness. Like, this right here is either boring, hard, or unfamiliar. So, why did I choose these words? Boring is because it lacks engagement and is easy to come by. Hard is because it requires effort, and that's leading to the idea that it is unfamiliar. So when was the last time someone had to work on motivation, confidence, and self-awareness? On the internet, it tells you what you already know. So you don't need self-awareness. Whatever you think it is true is true. And then on the internet, engagement is instant. Every single day. So you don't need to work on engagement. Go on the internet and it'll provide it for you. You click on a video and there it is. You don't have to make your own engagements. And motivation? We don't have to even go to motivation. Doom scroll for 5 minutes a day and it'll instantly become 2 hours. These things are all tied together on the internet and they're easy to come by. So then whenever you choose to do something that is not reinforced by these things, then it will become very hard because you can't find motivation to language learn easily. Like, it's not very engaging unless you make it, right? So all of these things, you're like, oh, well, if I can make motivation come easy, then you check the box. I can make it engaging, even though no one's providing it, then you check a box. I can be motivated even when nothing is happening, then you check a box. So if you check these boxes, then you don't need to use an app to help you. Apps that are successful now have all 3 of these boxes checked. And they are designed as a form of gamification because gamification fulfills these 3 roles very, very rapidly. So oftentimes when I look at an app, the question is the success due to this or what comes after? And generally, in my opinion, it comes from this first because that's something that the kids, the target audience, lacks. They lack a source of motivation, a source of interest, engagement, interest, engagement, and motivation. You think your consistency has been okay on most days, just not the day after a very hard review session? Several cards that you keep falling short of days, but you see where I come from? Yeah. I don't know, unfortunately. I'll take your word for it because you haven't done anything consistent yet since we spoke. I don't actually know what it is that is consistent. Like, consistency means that your mood, your outcomes, and your other things start to share a predictable pattern in which you can build upon it. But since we started talking the last 7 days, every single day came with new problems. And every single day came with a brainstorm of something to change. It hasn't been like months or years yet. And whenever you talk about something, it didn't last for more than a month's period before you decided there's a disagreement and you want to change it. Yeah, you go day by day, so that's not consistent. You might be able to do something consistently within an hour and make it feel like it's consistent. We're talking about life skills now. So life skills tend to be like years. So here's a fun exercise if you want. Maybe when you have time on your free time and whatnot that you've scheduled, write down the things you have done for a really long time and that they were consistently being done with maybe very consistent results. And then explore why those things are consistent. Are they coming from within, or are they obligations placed on you? Because there are obligations that are placed on you that should be on that list. Like eating, sleeping. Now, we're not talking about bad or good. We're now trying to be as logical as we can. So there are things that when you ask yourself, what do you do consistently? Even though you didn't learn anything or and vibed it out and etc. On that list should be at least 6 or 7 things that no matter who you are, since you're human, it should be on that list. And eating is probably going to be one of them. And the idea to make this list is to contrast the number of things you do voluntarily, consistently, versus the things you have to do. If the number is overwhelmingly reinforced by things you have to do, like go to school, go to class, then that kind of answers the question of whether you have vibed out a strategy to do something voluntarily, or you have analytically also done it. Like you would be able to explain the things that aren't obligatory. Going to class is going to be obligatory. Passing a test that someone says you have to pass is obligatory. As in, those are the things you have to do, and they should be on that list. Now you're going to compare it and contrast it to everything you have chosen to do, in which you can reinforce yourself to be consistent on them. And if you have those examples, is what you're looking for. Because then you look at them and say, how did I do it? How did I maintain a 500-day Discord bot streak, for example? Sure. The characteristics in those things are able to explain some of the things that already work. So whenever I see someone who says they have a 2,000-day streak in Duolingo, and then they gonna tell me, oh, I want to start learning to read manga, and they would ask me something like, well, how do I stay consistent in reading manga? I can ask the person, how did you maintain your Duolingo streak? That's something you can learn. You can use that information. If they say they're not creative enough to make it like that, the first thing I would tell them is habit association. They already use Duolingo to maintain an existing streak. If you want to vibe a habit association, read your manga before you do your Duolingo streak. That's a intuitive way of linking together vibe, something that you already vibe because you don't want to analyze it, and associate it with another habit that needs to be formed. So every time they think they need to go and maintain their Duolingo streak, which is a positive thing that they maintain, they can do their manga reading before the Duolingo streak. That's like people who need to work out in order to go to work, drink their coffee in order to get ready for the day. That's another way to approach it if you want to vibe your way through. it does require a little, and I'm not saying they're exclusive of each other. You can't really entirely rely on vibe. There will be some sort of analytical conscious process, and then the reverse. It's the extent of it. So if you make a list, you can use what you understand about obligation. Obligation is part of a component of planning and diligence. So that list should be relatively big. That's why I rely on that more than the other. If the other list is bigger, the list where you don't plan anything and you just voluntarily do it and find sources, then go with that. I can't answer those questions because I am not your doctor and I am also not a working professional. It would be a friend or family who knows you better in order to be able to answer those questions without the information coming from you. So oftentimes making a list and writing things down and comparing which one is more dominant can help logic dictate what your actions are. If you keep feeling and vibing, then that's not really logic. That's more like emotional logic. Like, hear me out. I know I said logic isn't rationality. Rationality is a combination of logic and emotions. But logic typically weighs looking at something and using that to inform your judgment. Your judgment comes in when emotion and logic comes together. And how much emotions can cloud logic. Rationalizing is the balance between logic and your emotions. So oftentimes you use logic, list the things, and then you use your emotions and to rationalize with the logic what your course of action is. At least that's how I would use those words. You did it by wanting to beat your friend in zoo points? Well, then you're gonna need a point system. You can use that to have a point system. So what did try to create a pseudo point system for yourself? That could work. Find something that has a point system, and then you're trying to beat your friend, so that would also imply that you would need a rival in that point system in order to do so. Like lots of other people, what they do is they make it a competition. I know it doesn't sound as healthy for someone in your position, but the idea is friendly competition is what keeps a lot of people on Duolingo, for example, and so on and so forth. So being able to take advantage of that while also knowing that you're doing it yourself intentionally may help. Usually it's competition nowadays for the internet crew. Maintaining a streak feels good because the number goes up as well. You also wanted to get zoo pages first, done achieving a zoo that takes up over 15,000 Discord characters, so it gets shortened into an embed and you get there first. I see. You don't know, you don't really want to have competition. That's your thinking, and yet your behavior is suggesting otherwise. So logic would dictate that you do want competition, but your emotions would suggest that you don't want competition. So what does your rationale say? Do you want competition in order to keep yourself consistent? Or do you not like competition enough to want to build your consistency around competition? Those are the only information I have from what you have shared. So until you add more information to tip the balance one way or the other for your rationale, the logical thing to do is to collect as much information to make a rational choice. Competition isn't why you grind bot, but that's what got you consistent at the start. That's not true. Like what you just said when you first highlighted something and I asked you like what you voluntarily did, what logically it would be that competition is involved in it. And then when you grind, it's competition. competition led to that streak. Now your reason is a streak. It's both. You keep this, like, to me, you have this habit of discarding things and pretending like it's not important anymore. Like, if it's a side thing, it's still competition. Like, you're not learning from things if you keep discarding them. So competition is important. So now if we have this conversation again, and I ask you, what is the reason that you can be consistent? It's competition. It's part of the equation. You don't say like, oh, it isn't competition anymore because it's conditionally not involved. It is literally part of the process. Where you are now is a response of everything you have done, not because you don't do it anymore. When you remember things and you learn something, if you want to act like you forgot how to learn it each and every time, then you're going to start over each and every time. So you can ask yourself if you want to do that. Every time you're going to learn a new thing, you're going to have to start over and pretend like competition is not part of the equation. Competition and clear progress frequently are the main motivators, not or, and. It's already happened. If you want to accept the past, it is and. If you're going to try to predict the future by making things optional, then you can choose to forget what the past teaches you. That's what I would say very directly. Yeah, there's no wiggle room here. We're not making a wiggle room. If you're making progress, you're making progress. If you're going to say, I optionally do this and optionally do that, then you have not learned from the past. You're choosing to forget the things that you don't think is important anymore, which is your choice. So in the future, when you say, I don't know why I like to do this, and you're like, I don't remember why it worked in the first place, you probably have your answer. It's probably from this discussion today. It's everything. You're trying to do and hold on to the things that work. Shortcuts, in my opinion, work until they don't. And then you no longer remember what you actually shortcutted. Right? You can try to convince yourself that, well, it's a waste of time to hold on to understanding how I learned things in the first place if you reach your goal. I meet a lot of people like that. And what they do is they gamble on the idea that they never have to learn it again. Which can be true. Like, you never have to learn how to walk again for most people. Sometimes, people have knee injuries and they have to learn to walk again. And it's very hard because we don't ever tend to expect to need to learn how to walk again or how to breathe properly. Maybe you lose a lung, right? I think that's an important lesson as well. Learning is cumulative. At least I think learning is cumulative. So if you keep wanting to improve, then discarding things can make you feel like you're getting worse. It can. The question is, how do you start a new habit? Apparently, it has something to do with having clear progress and competition. And you can look at that. What is it about Anki that doesn't provide those things? I imagine it does, to some extent. It should. At the moment, in principle. What? Oh, that kid.
絶景
You think Aki does, except for the days you have a lot of hard cards? What makes you think the days of the last of the hard cards mean no progress? What are you using to measure your progress? You didn't explain at the moment. You didn't explain at the moment what hard day means yet. You'll work on finding the hard common patterns in the coming days. Fair enough. So while that's happening, you didn't explain to me how you determine that it's a hard day. And why it doesn't feel like progress. What is your metric?
Himan.
Wait. Nakamaru. No, Skamaru.
捕まる
Skamaru. Or to catch, not to caught. Hard days, they have progress. They just significantly reduce your willingness to do more reviews, and your metric for determining if a day is hard is if so many non-sticking cards that you hate it. Fair enough. So you have your answer. It's still progress. So now you're addressing something else. It's not progress that you're addressing. So that's progress, for lack of a better word. So it's not progress that's the issue. It's the other thing that you say, your metric of determining if it's a hard day. So a hard day is not the same as not making progress, which is useful. That's useful information. So now you got to figure out ways to measure what a hard day is, and then use those measurements in order to answer what is it that you can make those days easier. You'll go and do your scheduling like yesterday now. Might get started on finding hard patterns. Enjoy stream. Yeah, take care. Take care, Mika. Take care. Good luck, good luck. Looking forward to hearing your future thoughts. Kawaremono. I said ka even though I typed ko. Kawaremono. Okay.
Wanga.
Keshiki.
景色
見つめる
Oh, glare. That's fine. Ketsubo.
欠乏 総理
Ori. Forgetting. But it's not quite that. That just says things are this. Back. Okay.
精一杯
Bye.
怖がる
わかる。
涼しい
あ
おそ
ー、お
らく
そらく。No, it's not the same as terrifying. おそらく。これはおそらく本当のことかと思う。I think hmm. Probably really probably really what? Oh, okay.
伸びる
It'll be to right circumstance or reason.
金属
体系的
体系的押す
Oh no. Which one is this? Okay. 違い
気違い
違い
日曜
日曜
訪問
訪問欧
欧米
米緊張す
緊
る
張する
え
影
影処置
処置
処置処置
閉める
Put
乗せ
set
る
to place something on something like that.
大臣
Hygiene. 限定。
限定。
限定。構え。
構え。
構え。Oops. What? Oh, just kidding.
考察。
考察。Kinda dark. 登録す
登
る。
録する。
冷やす。Uh-oh. Okay. 夜更け。
枕。
燃える。
燃える。精神的。
精神的。耐える。
後継。
映る。ためる。ためる。ためる。To like pile up something to stockpile. Maybe stockpile they'll take. Oh. Okay, they'll take to store up, sure.
逮捕。給与。
Oops, that's it. 渡す。
渡す。
渡す。任せる。
任せる。
Was it something or someone? Or both? Oops.
経緯。
That's just a photograph.
構う。
生まれる。What? Oh no, 埋もれる。
埋もれる。
埋もれる。Okay.
中
中央。
乾杯。日経。満月。
Uh-oh.
聞く。
炒める。
株式市場
株式市場
Oh, 市場 OK 株式市場株式市場What? Oh,
満足
満足 Satisfy? Satisfaction? Boy, lots and lots of review. Oh. 影響外務大臣
外務大臣
not prime minister minister of輸入
我が国
Oh, okay. 診断する
診断する
Oh, I forgot to write two. Fine. Gana. Gena? Oops. What? The supplement, right? Oh. Ogina.
補う
Ogino. What? Oh.
閣僚
Okay. Oh, just kidding. Naraberu.
Shuppan.
Handinin.
Shirigakeru. Or, no, shirizukeru. What? Oh, shirizokeru.
退ける
結構
Gekko. Oh no, wait. What? It's fine. Yeah, that's okay. Oops.
歓喜
Anki. Getting close to the halfway point. 狭めに
狭める
抑える
移住者
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 詰まる
豚骨ラーメン
豚骨ラーメン
Oh boy. Wait. That's your. Right. Like. Hmm. Oh no. You ain't. Yeah.
模様
Oh yo. Matter? Oh, it's a pattern? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Manner of scale. Oh yo.株式会社
株式会社
Okay. Halfway point.
Kawaku
Kawaku. Taiyo Oh no, Taiyo not Taiyo
太陽系
Taiyo Okay. Or indication. Okay. 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 Okay.
効率
初版
初版
主涼む
Oh, just to chill out, I guess. to cool down. I mean, okay, to cool, like to be cooled. Cooled. Requires a little work there.
逆さま
Okay.
鉄板
Pan. Right. What is this? Oh.
玄関
Income. Right. What? What? That's supposed to be hmm. This guy. Hmm.
構成
We'll see.
緊張
Oh.
玄米
お誕生日おめでとう。
お誕生日おめでとう
かす。
かすか
Okay. Okay. Yofugashi. Or staying up late.
触れる効果
差し上げる。
差し上げる
Fine. Very similar. Kunyomi. Oh, right. Kunyomi. Oops.
候補者
候補者。
寄せる。
Hmm. Oh no. Toboshi.
乏しい
Okay. Uh-huh.
栄える。
栄える。Oops. 届ける。
届ける
判件。
判
精
精神
神病。
病。
変わる
変わる。
体
体
積。
積。地下街。
地下街
Uh, shopping mall. Okay, that's fine. Um,
構
構
成
成。
壊れる。
壊れる。
人
人
違い
違い。
迷わす。
うーん。What? Oh,
模型。
okay.
たやす
やす。Okay. Get in there. Get in there.
積もる。
うーん。
押す
う
程よく
程よく。
満点
満点。Okay. Uh-oh.
主
主催
催する
する。 Uh,
Osoreru.
What is that? I thought it was to mix, but mix cars? That's not effective, is it? No, I don't think so. Oh, ko and kaku. Okay. Yeah.
抜く
Kaku.
景況
影響 kan. Oh no.
監視
Anshi. Oh, I can't spell surveillance.
違反
Ihan. Oh no, this is conjoined twins for Hazuhiro. I kind of recently dropped this. Hazuhiro. What is this in? It's something like Ida or something? What is that? Spikes plus... Is this a laurel wreath? Got 2 hands. Yeah, don't use this as often as I would like. Oh, right. This one is part of the lineup. Oops.
鼻詰まり
Hazumari. 満員
Hangin.
自販機
完了
Oshi. Oshi. Naruhodo.
思い詰める
Mitsmeru.
同僚
E? Oh no. Hold up. Lion. What's this? Oh, right.
監督
Kantoku.
面積
Menseki. We're getting there. What did we do? Skip 2 meanings? Oh, 総理大臣。
総理大臣
莫大
Same difference. That one's kind of tough, actually.
貧乏
所属
人差し指。No, 差し。人差し指。What? 人差し指。I don't know. 人差し指。Oh, I keep typing the wrong thing! What? Oh,
人差し指
let's see. The first one didn't work? And then I nendaku'd afterwards. Whatever.
攻撃する お
お
祝い
祝い。Take responsibility. No.
担う
Or carry or start carrying responsibility. So
右
you
腕
de
規模
people like standard. How you say like standard model scale? I'm gonna change this. Oh, it's just generic scale and standards, scope, size. All right. Or we'll stick to scale. I don't think that's good enough, but let's see.
差別する
Hmm. Moetsuku.
燃え尽く
Yomichikai.
読み違い
Hmm. Accumulate. This. Seki, right? Huh, well, think on this. What? Oh, I need to know the other accumulate.
積む
Yeah. One line of thinking is not that great. Yusutsu. Yusutsu. Not doesn't roll right off the tongue. Fushibushi.
節々
Oku.
航空券 大違い
What? Fine. Oh.
絞る
Okay, we're back to the two. Sakihodo. First extent. Sakihodo. A little while ago. Sorry. Sorry. It's a pivot. Pretty sure sorry. Oh no, it's not a pivot. It's just the Prime Minister. Nickname. We have one lesson. Where's that one lesson coming from? And then we gotta pick up the one review. Kishoucho.
気象庁
Okay. One lesson? Where's this one lesson coming from? Oh, it's probably because one of the characters. Okay, to lick. And then this would just be Nameru.
舐める
Nameru. Wait, is Na a kunyomi? Oh, it is. That's a mistake. I've been writing as oh, I mean I've been not writing it as Kuno on because it's out of sequence. That's right. All right. Good to know. Namen.
舐める
There's a kunyomi na. Yeah, so later today we have that one. Where are we at? We're at 5 p.m. Okay, I can do 5 p.m. tomorrow, and then we'll just push the 5, 3, and 2. So we finished early enough. We finished early enough. 1.5 hours to get through what 250 reviews isn't too bad. Okay. So tomorrow is going to be a chill day, right? Our apprentice stuff. I mean, it's gonna be a chill day regardless of how late it is. And then what's Wednesday like? It's oh wait, so tomorrow's 4. Oh, Wednesday we won't have. Oh no, yeah, we won't have much, huh? What is that? 5, 3. We have 8 plus 8 plus 3. That's 11. Maybe we'll do some burnout tomorrow. The day after. That's probably what we're gonna do. It's been a while. Like this stuff has been climbing. Burnout days give the opportunity to. Burnout days give the opportunity to retroactively look at weak spots and write our mnemonics. Okay. So we're day 3s are when we switch to reads then definition. Actually, let's see, 1, 2, 3, right? So we do 4 extra. Oh, no, let's stick with writing the definition one more time. Nah, I think we're pretty good. The definition. Hey. Ka, Joey. Goal, suitable. No, exceptional. Exceptional. Un, model. Goal, obstruct. Joel, exclude. Gene, inquire. It, how much. Oh, sleep. Toro. Mud. Oh, hole. Kyo, surprise. Han, sai. Soul, storehouse. On, grandchild. To nest. I check if Tai is. I felt. Okay, I did. K, diameter. Q, rescue. Sun, scatter. Un, powder. MAKU, veins. Tai, vegetables. Ka, freight. Oh no. Iku, actually, right? Yeah. Ku, land. Ni, resemble, keen, equal. Oh, grave. Ooh. Rich. Took it. Virtue. Hun. Search. And spy. Alright. Right for WaniKani today. We'll watch this later. Arigatou gozaimasu. As always, feel free to follow along, pick up WaniKani for yourself, give it a try, let me know what you think. And you're always welcome and free to stop on by and yap a bit. We've been working on some background projects here and there, making it a regular thing, keeping people regular, right? Consistency. Today's yap was dealing with some brainstorming. I've been doing some, maybe, I don't know what I call it now, but it's kind of like yapping. We're doing some private yapping, DMing, sharing stuff, keeping each other motivated. The idea is not about necessarily being right or wrong, white and black. It's often about sharing, right? Sharing, brainstorming. Whether you agree or disagree, it's the idea of accumulating enough information, being challenged in the moment to think of and consider different things. You can choose to hear things and reject them, refine them. And underneath all of that, the idea is, if it is very difficult to exchange ideas and share ideas, express, communicate, that also requires consistency. I think one of the toughest acts to follow, like especially what I mentioned yesterday about when I'm reminiscing about youth, even adults alike, or those that become incredibly dependent on a specific strategy or a specific behavior, is that being able to share at least creates a bit of discovery process, and that discovery process becomes effectively harder and more laborious and effortful over time if one is spending most of their time dogmatically following, reaffirming, and selectively being targeted for their own point of views. Now, the thing that I want to keep with a grain of salt is that if you are happy and that happiness keeps you consistent, right? Consistently happy, the things you do are not necessary for refinement and iteration. It's not my place to suggest that. However, if one feels like there are no options, you've tried everything, nothing really works, those types of vicious cycles, sometimes making yourself available and committing to interacting with someone else who is able to reciprocate that as a form of open generosity, that provides opportunity. It's not a guarantee that you won't get betrayed or get brushed off and whatnot. The idea is creating opportunity and sharing and knowing when opportunity strikes to take a chance is making that step, provide, and doing things provide that data. As much as I like to believe there are sufficient information in the world for you to predict every outcome by example alone, it doesn't necessarily make up for the human experience that is required to appreciate the value in that. Someone can tell you it's valuable. Someone can try to convince you it's valuable conceptually. That information does not literally, in a figurative way, become valuable until the human themselves perform it. I think that completes the process of internalizing and learning the information. So belief is incredibly strong, is not, that value of that strength and motivation is not realized until something is actualized. So constantly telling yourself that you suck and then doing things, unfortunately doing things that lead to the conclusion that it sucks, that's kind of actualizing the suck, right? That's a negative way to look at it. Now the positive way is, if you say you think an exam, for example, is savable, then doing it will actualize that possibility. Failing will still actualize that possibility, right? Most of the time when it comes to the future, yeah, certainly we live in a world where you wish you had all the control and whatnot. Sort of. I'm speaking to those who don't feel like they have any control in their lives, right? And when you lack control, I think it's very humanistic, or it's the human condition to desire to change that outcome. Too much of something tends to diminish and weaken its value, and then balancing it out with something is a natural desire. If you keep feeling like your life is out of control, you seek to find control within it. However, our emotions doesn't guarantee that they would be logical enough to rationalize what are the actions. Sometimes when you're doing something, it also requires interacting with another human being. So I'm not suggesting that the things I say and the things that I do are the only way it can be done and be successful. The idea is, if you heard something interesting or differing from your perspective, that is an opportunity for change. Not guaranteed for the better or for the worse, but it's an opportunity that you can choose to actualize a change. Otherwise, oftentimes, I think it's fairly logical and also rational that if you're in a bad place and you continue to persist in that world to remind yourself of everything that is consistent, then things will not change, right? And oftentimes, if you're already heading downwards, it will continue to head downward as expected. That would be the logical outcome. Rationally, when someone is coping and in a downward spiral, rational can bridge into irrationality, which is the idea that if you keep doing the same thing, it will one day get better. It can still. However, logically, it would not be from what you're doing. Like, it is very unlikely to be from what you're doing. Emotionally, if you get lucky, like if it magically gets better from you not doing anything, what about the next time? What about the next time? How long are you going to live until you how long are you going to live to constantly wait for that luck to happen? Because logically, it wasn't because of something you did. It was because you got lucky. Like, I understand it sounds a little like victim blaming, but those who consistently rely on luck are also not well equipped to make their own luck, like increase their opportunities. You make luck. Luck doesn't guarantee that it will happen. You're stacking the deck, right? The future is not guaranteed, or at least I like to view it like that. There are individuals out there who believe in a deterministic future, and that is their prerogative. For myself, I feel having a mindset in which you know that you can affect the odds and probability of the future helps one who does not feel like they have any control over their lives, their performances, their talents, their intellectual acuity. It can produce some agency. I think one of the most chronically devastating consistencies in the human condition when one is sad is that sadness breeds more sadness, and depression breeds more depression in the world we live in, like in the internet world we live in, right? If you're really happy, generally you get happier while you're using the internet. when you are sad, you genuinely get sadder when you use the internet. It hyperpolarizes for your current feeling. So if you're heading downhill, you're going to continue heading downhill if you use the internet and do not interact with anyone, because you get no contrast, right? If you're sad, you're going to go online and look for everything that makes you sad, right? Now, when I mean you, I'm talking about the figurative person, no one specifically. You, the hypothetical person that have become so trapped that the only thing that makes you feel comfortable is to consistently think about all the things that trap you, right? And without another human being, even parasocially, really. And hear me out, when you're on YouTube and stuff and you're looking for sad things, it's not like YouTube's gonna say, hey, here's a happy person that doesn't resonate with you. Why not you watch that person to see if it's okay? It usually doesn't do that. I mean, it kind of does that a little bit more now. Twitch definitely doesn't do that. So if you're feeling depressed, you are more than likely to look for someone who has a demeanor that reinforces all your preconceived notions. So I've been trying to... That's kind of the obstacle that I have to understand, like trying to be a little creative and getting around. Like, how do you perpetuate and naturally tap into someone's inclination to want to look at different views? If you are chronically depressed, how do you look at something a little bit at a time that isn't depressing? Because without the appreciation for what could be, there's rarely a time when that person can see anything beyond their depression or their inadequacies or their social anxieties. That's where having other human beings can change that naturally, organically. Or alternatively, yourself is someone who have overcome it. So ups and downs, right? I firmly believe there are quite a lot of people who constantly say it's the journey, not the destination. There are ups and downs, and when they speak and they talk to me, it's either all ups or all downs. Like that's usually the case. When someone's doing really well, they're doing really well. Being on the internet is great way to reinforce when you're doing well. The internet really helps you do well. When you're doing poorly, the internet really helps you get better at being poor. So I'm saying it that way because it's not that the internet is choosing, or like someone malicious out there or some human conspiracy that to keep the internet is, it's a nondescript pattern in humans where it just so happens that when you are left to your own devices and the internet is designed to make you feel like the main character, and everything that you learn, it will re-emphasize that. And that is why I end my segment with welcoming open generosity to yap, exchange ideas, and talk about things. Because usually, maybe in the future, there's the machine learning that will... I mean, my thought is, would you rely on a machine to notice that you have a pattern of depression so that they would try to use another pattern, whatever that is, like therapists or something? I don't even know what data source they would drag it, where they would start to offer you positive things, knowing that they notice that your mood is swinging downward. I don't know how appealing that sounds. A human does that, right? And you could say in the future it could change, and that's what machines are done, where like, hey, they notice that your search activities and your topics are a little bit of concern. Like, hey, you've been reading about cancer a lot. Would you care to go and see a specialist to make sure your worries of cancer, or like they would inquire about it? Who knows? Yeah, machine learning You could get a machine to recognize these patterns as long as you disclose all your activity to them. Or alternatively, you share what you want to share with another human being. Typically, though, your doctor is one that you would probably want to share everything with, right? And even then, on the human level, rarely do humans share everything with their doctors because of privacy and whatnot, right? Even despite doctor privilege, doctor patient confidentiality and all that stuff and confidence, that is still difficult. It's still not 100% transparent. So when someone says maybe in the future, oh, machine learning can do this, machine learning can synthesize all the things. But think about it. If a human being already has trouble speaking and talking to a specialist about their problems, and they also perhaps also internalize and unable to share even trivial things or self-awareness, what is it that a machine can do that a user would automatically try to condition? In my opinion, it's not quite black and white. What a machine can analyze from your behavioral responses, a human can adapt to letting the machine only know certain things about them. Much like a human who is incredibly depressed, guarded, and coping, not unwilling to talk to other people or even a specialist. Right? Asking for help is very difficult, especially if it's the first time you've ever encountered an obstacle, right? If your life was spent with 90% privilege and everything goes as you plan, it always goes your way, the first time is the toughest. And asking for help is even equally as tough. It might slightly become easier the second time, but when you recover from something, you might not encounter it a second time for a very long time. Then it will be really tough the second time, then the third time. Like, I certainly have a tough time asking for help. Now the question is, if the internet, which has algorithms based on your own preference, can be manipulated to convincing someone who is depressed to stay depressed and reminded of everything they suck at, how would a machine learning AI tool respond to that? I actually think it would exaggerate the thing, because the user has the ability to manipulate the AI model to believe what they want to believe. Like, they will only let it track certain activities or only share the things they're comfortable in sharing with the AI model. I actually think when people are talking about, oh yeah, we can train AI models because they don't like talking to humans and humans are inconsistent, etc. Betrayals and emotional stuff gets in the way. Well, a machine doesn't have emotions. And also, the machine only knows as much as you tell it, unless you're obligatory going to let the machine pry in your privacy. A human might still pry in your privacy, and you would have to contend with that too. The odds are, though, the human's coming from a place of compassion, as opposed to a place of whole calculated trends, right? So my thought is, I'm saying this now because they're here to stay, and in the future I can see the attractiveness of saying, oh yeah, I'd rather trust a machine because the machine has all the information available that's technically based on human data. And my thought is, the machine can be manipulated. It might not sound like it can now. You're like, oh, how can you trick a machine if it knows everything on the internet? By providing limited information and only asking the questions you care about. Because the machine responds to you. They don't contribute novel things to you haphazardly or out of self-interest. They respond to you. So whatever thing you think you have, the machine will exaggerate it even more. Like, if you say, hey, do I have cancer? Tell me about cancer. I think I have cancer. The machine will agree. and it will reinforce everything about cancer for you. It'll tell you more about cancer. When sometimes one of the solutions to make someone less depressed is to demonstrate how they can be successful. Well, I guess we'll see if the machine will be able to convince a human to look at success in their depression versus a human telling the machine to only tell them what they want to see or hear. There's a pretty good phenomenon for this. It's already happening, where plenty of people who interact with large language models, etc., know that machines feel like, why does it look like the machine always insists on having an answer or trying to help or very positive and encouraging spinning? Is because it exaggerates the parts that you want to hear. What is the way to exaggerate and constantly get a human to do what they want to hear? Be incredibly enabling. So that's the default setting. I mean, obviously they can try to balance it out and all that, but generally speaking, judgment in human emotions is something still a little bit reachable and unreachable maybe. And that's what I wanted to end with, why it's great to have any form of human interaction on a regular basis, as opposed to whatever relative type that you have now. If you have 0, then any. If you have 1, then more than that, right? The accumulation of human interactions is a luxury at the moment. So that's kind of one of the things that I wanted to share. And right now we're kind of like some peeps and I are going back and forth, giving ideas, talking about ideas. Hopefully more will come from that, right? So until then, I wanted to say these things because I'm internally grateful that there are still humans who trust other humans or have the capacity to be openly generous about interacting with humans. I think the solution to mistrust, I don't even know if distrust is a thing right now, but mistrust, I guess distrust is more like misleading, neglect, abuse, those things, trauma. And then there's coping, defensive,ness, withdrawn, and isolation. I like to be thankful and think about in this time. This is Thanksgiving week. So for this, I like to invest forward and basically pass along the open generosity that I had over my life. It was a small percentage of my life, but that small percentage made the world of difference. You can appreciate the idea that what it means to have friends, because friends are inevitably rare. Like, think about how many relationships a healthy, successful person maintains. Like an actual relationship, they don't actually maintain that many. Now think about proportionately how many individuals they interact with over the course of their life. So yes, it's rare, and that's also why it's precious. All that fear you have is also why hope is amazing. All that hard work you don't want to do is also why it's rewarding. That's one of the human conditions. Things are precious and hard to achieve are things that are most incredibly rewarding and life-changing. So it's not necessarily about the quantity, the frequency, and the high odds. It's boosting the odds as much as you can to get the sufficient number of rarity things in your life. Rarity leads to high value, right? Or the perception of high value. It's a human construct, right? So having a good friend after, I don't know, having 99 poor interactions, that's what makes that friend incredibly rewarding. And then How does that fit into the, speaking of consistency? Spending 300 days solving your problems and learning how to learn another language, that 300 days have more value than the one day in which you figured out something and then you quit. Right? Instant gratification versus delayed gratification, for example. Friends are cultivated, human experiences are cultivated. I'm emphasizing human experience because it's one of the, it used to be, I'm not sure if it's true right now, human experience used to be by default one of the defining features for developing delayed gratification, consistency, and skill building. Right? Having a child, for example, is most certainly one way to challenge a person's ability to be consistent, skill building, and self-improvement. Having a sibling, having a caring family, trying to make your parents proud, those are all by default. Originally. I'm not so sure anymore. So I've been asking various people to make a list. What are the things that you do most consistently in life? Characterize them. Which column is bigger, the obligation side or the voluntarily side? Because oftentimes you want to expect it's the obligation side. And that obligation side produces a lot of information that allows you to benefit and work with in the voluntary side. So what makes it that you want to learn this target language? Oftentimes, it has something to do with the obligation side. And that's personal success. It's a pretty good one. That's internal. Or, like for language learning, talk to other people. Or to use it for your success, but it involves you interacting with other people. So inherently, the vast majority of the end game does come down to interacting with people. It's oddly, we live in an odd crossroads where the vast majority of things we do now is to eliminate that. So my question nowadays is, when people say they don't need communication skills, that's optional, they don't need to know how to resolve conflicts and arguments and debates, they exclusively avoid conflicts and avoid how to speak to people and debate, argue, and talk with the person. I don't know how much of that type of like opinion or perspective is reinforced because they live in a bubble online. Like, I don't know how much of that is perpetuated. Logic dictates that you would eventually have to interact with a human being in any way, part of human development. Rationalization, where the emotion comes in with logic, can cloud the logic that the reality is you need all these skills. You need problem solving skills and critical thinking skills. If you think that language learning, you don't need it because you can just learn it the correct way, that's fair. But when you learn enough language, what are you going to do? Engage with another human being. And there's no perfect solution for that. There's no formula for that. It still involves problem solving and critical thinking skills. So if you put that off, in my opinion, it's going to slap you across the face like a train. It's going to hit you so hard that I really do hope that most of the hypothetical people that I'm talking about will recover from it. And they'll recover from it usually with the support system composed of, no surprise, by other human beings. Unless in a year or two I'm completely wrong and it gets replaced by AI, sure. The question is, maybe there's a chance that AI will be able to hug you too and tell you things you don't want to hear, as well as things you need to hear, and as well as things you want to hear. Maybe. I genuinely don't think that's in our lifetime, or in my lifetime anyways, that we'll see that happen. But for now, I'll continue to be openly generous and being thankful that I have the privilege to do this, as well as thankful for having people who challenge me. And I'm not even sure if they know, because the challenge here is to get people, encourage people to want to be better in their life, want to be happier, have a desire to even trust people and share those feelings forward, right? Be part of a bigger thing. That's what I'm thankful for. So there's a little Thanksgiving nod. Well, I'll probably be doing this the next 2 or 3 days as well. But for now, for those who are only interested in WaniKani, right? 皆さんまたね。見てくれてありがとう. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna get up, walk around, stretch a little bit, and I'll be back for Hanzahiro. Thank you, thank you.